Ladies and gentlemen, I delayed making a quick video on the JoBurg mayor story because I wanted some of the facts to come out. Now that some of the facts have come out, I thought I'd actually give my commentary on this. Saying that, I'm going to try to be as fair as possible to the El mayor, and I'm going to try to look at it as objectively as I can. But before we get on to the main story of the day, can I please remind you, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. It really does help. Share it with your friends on WhatsApp, and if you want to support all the work I do, you know the gig, you can buy me a coffee. The link is in the description box below. So let's just start off with the very first thing, and that is Mbalula. Fikile Mbalula says that at the weekend, the NEC will be convening in order to discuss the integrity of the party. Yes, the integrity of the party. So why are they doing that? Well, some ANC guys have now stepped aside because they've all been charged with corruption. And wow, there's a lot of them that are being charged with corruption. Like, all of them. With that being said, let's now move on to the main story, which is the next person who's being charged with corruption, and that is the former Johannesburg mayor. So the El mayor that Ramon once fondly described as an ISIS mayor was arrested following a fraud allegation. So let's actually go through what the allegation is. Let's look at how it potentially came about. Let's look at what some of the rules are, and let's look at this as objectively as possible. So the first scenario is apparently he sold some funeral policies to Soweto residents. These residents paid him in cash. The money supposedly went missing. Some of the customers wanted to make claims. They wanted to make complaints against the insurance policies, and they didn't really know to whom to make these complaints. This led to some of the individuals eventually attempting to track down the seller of these insurance policies, only to be told that the two directors of the company had committed suicide because the company had failed. So when did all this happen? Well, according to the FSCA, that is the insurance regulator in South Africa, apparently this all happened around 2011 to 2012. And that all the activities, according to their reports, were all illegally conducted. I'm going to get on to what that may or may not have been and what that looks like. They also said that the money never ultimately landed with an insurance underwriter and went missing, and that ultimately this was all done in order to defraud the residents. Now, for those of you who follow the news regularly, when he was first appointed as Mayor of Johannesburg, the DA raised these potential complaints and did highlight to the ANC that he would be a problematic choice for mayor. At the time, the ANC said that they had vetted him and that he cleared all their vetting and he was anyway. El said the same thing, unpredictably, because it was their party guy. Let us not forget that they vetted him and cleared him. Basically means that the ANC, vet and clear everybody, and they seem to pass all their checks, even though they're all as corrupt as sin. In any case, the primary excuse used by all parties vetting him at the time there were no criminal allegations or no criminal charges being made against him, no cases pending, and therefore, he can't be corrupt. So let's actually look at what this may have all looked like. Okay, so he would have gone around Soweto, basically with a flyer, basically said, I can get you some funeral policies, you're going to pay me 20 Rand a month, pay it to me in cash. Now, the regulator has some very strict guidelines on what and when you can hold physical cash on behalf of clients. Because you see, their fear is that when everybody ever gets paid in cash, what they do is they bucket the cash and they don't actually pass that on to an underwriter. So as an insurance intermediary, what you're meant to do is obviously hold on to their funds on trust on behalf of a client. That money is never actually yours and ultimately lands up with an insurance underwriter who then provides a insurance schedule or some firms of policy documents. So the first question I would have is, why didn't he provide any policy documents? Because clearly those policy documents would have stated who to contact in the event of a claim. So it sounds to me like what's actually happened is he's gone around and said, trust me, I'll get you some insurance, pay me 20 bucks, and off he went. The next is that the regulator requires that all parties be regulated in order to provide financial advice and intermediary services. In this instance, it would appear he was never authorized. Now, more interestingly enough, there are forms of regulations which basically state that even if an intermediary obtains your money and acts as an agent of you, the underwriter. In that instance, even if they don't get paid, there is a implied duty that as your agent, they effectively have bound you to the form of cover or a legal obligation that if we settle the claim anyway, you can recover your outlay against that intermediary's professional indemnity insurer or possibly against that intermediary directly. Yeah, you can see that didn't happen because, again, there was no agency agreement with an insurer, as far as I can tell. And this is all based on the publicly available information. The information may be out of date, but I doubt it. So, what that ultimately meant is that without any documentation to an underwriter, without any form of legal accreditation with a regulator, and without any form of financial trail, probably being paid in cash because most of the informal sector operates in cash, many of these individuals worked on nothing more than trust. As they were told in 2011/2012 that he was dead, he had committed suicide, I find it very unlikely that they would have gone and opened a case at a police station and lodged an allegation of theft. And I think we all know that. So it was with great surprise that some of the individuals who were scammed ultimately said that they later saw him on TV appearing as the Mayor of Joburg. They were like, that's the guy who stole my cash. Yeah, I heard he's dead. Now he's the mayor. So naturally, many of them were like confused. Is it the same guy? Looks to be the same guy. I thought he was dead. Many of them, now being confused, were left unsure on how to react. And so what actually has recently happened is somebody has actually opened a criminal case, and it was that criminal case that has now led to him being arrested. So is he actually guilty of corruption? Well, I don't know, because they don't have all the facts. Clearly, some of the facts are being held by the FSCA, but the FSCA have already issued a report saying that in 2011/2012, he was operating illegally. What was the sanction of that illegal verdict? Well, I don't know. What I do know is that as a financial individual myself, if I were to break these rules, yeah, I'd be arrested, because it's a criminal offense to break the rules. So I'm curious as to why that hasn't happened. Possibly because he's the mayor and therefore is politically privileged. One raises the question. So why does one raise the question? Well, one raises the question because this individual sits on Paul Mashatile's, the deputy president's GNU committee, also fondly called the Cleaning House Mechanism Committee. And one of their jobs is to enhance the ethical commitment to a capable state. Yeah, this guy doesn't have ethics, and everybody told you that. They told the ANC this time and time again. Al-Jamar has been approached about this and asking them what are they going to do about it, and they said nothing. And they continue to say nothing. They say, it's just smearing campaigns. Nothing more than smearing campaigns. I'm surprised they haven't called the allegations racist. Maybe that's next week. So as you all know, he is no longer the Mayor of Joburg. But what you may not know is that he's the MMC for Community Development. Yeah, he's still in a position of power in Joburg. He's just not the mayor. So the ANC have got a really tough time now. What are they going to do with him? He's an ANC deployee after all, right? And he does sit in a position on the GNU. So the ANC have said, well, as our deployee, effectively a ANC stooge, which we're not allowed to call him an ANC stooge, but yeah, he was an ANC stooge. He needs to follow the ANC rules of step aside. So the ANC is saying that there now appears like the allegations are strong enough that he needs to step aside, because it would cast into doubt the integrity of everything that's going on in Joburg, which is curious, because let us not forget that currently Panyaza Lesufi is hiding a report around certain forms of corruption in Gauteng. This has been the subject of numerous articles, and I've even done a video on it myself. But you see, ladies and gentlemen, this raises so many fundamental questions. The first is the brazen nature at which individuals feel that they can continually scam and commit fraud in the Republic without any form of reprise. The fact that the individual had scammed communities out of cash and felt nothing to take frontline political positions and ultimately attempt to be the mayor of the largest metro in the country, the most important and most powerful metro in the country. And he was like, yeah, it will be fine. No one will notice that I'm a well-known scammer and I'm on TV. It's just another day, right? And what then raises the question is how these individuals so brazenly sit on panels, such as cleaning house committees, talking about ethics and anti-corruption initiatives when they themselves are corrupt themselves. And again, we see this time and time again in the Republic. And on the same day, we have Fikile and Balula talking about how they're going to discuss integrity at the weekend. It's farcical. It's completely farcical. And it, unfortunately, severely dents the democratic trust in the state. No one trusts democracy in the state anymore, because the state is intrinsically corrupt. In any case, that's just my views. That's my attempt to be as objective on the matter as possible. You can let me know what you think in the comment section below. Until tomorrow, bye.